Welcome back. This is Mike with Altcoins. It's January 24th. Time for market update. Well, we got the correction that I proposed a few days ago. Right up here, I told you guys that we would probably slide lower if we breach through that support line right here, and that's exactly what happened. So let's take a look where we are, right? So on the chart, we sort of touched the support zone, but it's not really deep enough yet. I'm not too happy with it yet. I do like this candle right here. And I don't use indicators very often at this point. I've been reading charts for such a long time that I don't really see the need to slap all kinds of indicators on there or channels and who knows what. I draw a few lines here and there, but that's pretty much it. And when I see a candle like this, right? Yeah, spinning top, what we might call it. No, not really. I mean, it's just, we see a snapback here and yeah, it's slight, right? I want to see something more like this where we see really, a little bit more pushback, a little bit more buying interest, and we haven't gotten it yet. It's minor, okay? So it's possible that we're going to slide a little bit lower and retest this. It really depends on what we do today, because what we want to see here is a quick slide, which we got. That's actually quite positive, and I think maybe that's one takeaway from this video, that when you look at this, right, it looks pretty scary, but the good news is that we're actually correcting fairly quickly. And that's usually what you want to see. You want to see a quick, scary slide that touches a lot of stops. A lot of traders put stops in various places here, maybe 41,000, 42,000, wherever. And snag those stops, drives the price lower quickly, which is what happens in that case. And then we approach the support zone, where it usually kind of tapers out, snaps back, which is the best scenario. And then we see buying interest, maybe a little retest. Sometimes it goes a little bit lower. Sometimes it just kind of continues higher, right? And this is what happens. So the scenario we want to see at this point is something like this, where we just kind of like, just either we do a little retest. So that's scenario one, right? We're going to do a little retest. We might go all the way down here, retest a little bit deeper. Let's kind of assume that for a minute. Now let me turn this on and make that so that I don't have to click on this all the time. And then we see this snapback here, maybe a little, one more, right here. Does it? It doesn't do it. Okay. Oh, it's the wrong tool. Okay, let's try this. All right. And then you click on this. Okay, you can do it, Michael. All right. All right. So then maybe like this, and then eventually we see something. We see something like this. I can never figure these drawing tools out. Sorry, guys. Right? That's what we want to see. And then here we are basically good to go. And we'll probably maybe do another little retest. And then boom. Off to the races. Okay? So that's one scenario. The other scenario, let me remove all this, is... Oopa. All right. How do I remove all this? To do it manually? I guess so. That's probably not a better way of doing that, but, So the other scenario one might see is like, okay, something like this, where we immediately bust higher and we're basically back in the green and we're good to go again. And from here on, it might pull back a little bit, but then continues higher again. That's the most bullish scenario. I think scenario A is more probable, has a high probability. And of course, then there is scenario C, which gets us kind of deep down here and all the way to maybe, I don't know, even 36,000 is possibility. How do we know? Well, honestly, it depends on what we're going to do in the next few days until Friday. Sunday is really the last day. A lot of times we see a snapback on Sunday, but don't know why, by the way, but it seems to be happening a lot based on what I've been looking at over the last few years, looking at crypto charts, and especially on Bitcoin. But anyway, so we might go a little bit deeper here. That's scenario C. I think the probability for that is around 30% right now, 25, 30%. And maybe stay there for a while and then come back here. I don't see a big probability for us sliding much lower, like, all the way back to maybe to 33,000 or 30,000 or something like that. I don't really see that happening. I think at this point, this is a correction and it has to play out. We expected this. We didn't expect it to really come back all the way here. Honestly, we first anticipated that it would pull back, taper out here, and then snap back higher. That would have been the best scenario. But it was not to be. So this is what we're getting, this is what we're dealing with. So these are the scenarios. And I told you about it as soon as we sliced through this here, the support here, right? Especially this support here. As soon as we went through here, I don't know if you see the dotted line on the screen. It was kind of the point of recognition, and there was a little bit of screwing around here, and then boom, it just dropped lower. I think the writing was really on the wall right here after the second candle or third candle here. It just wasn't recovering, and it had to recover. I had to correct further, deeper down, and that's exactly what it's doing. I do like the velocity of it. It seems this waterfall phenomenon here, this formation, this waterfall formation, like boom, stabilizing, boom, stabilizing, boom. So what we're getting now, stabilizing and snapback, or stabilizing and boom, one more lower. So that's what we're going to see. In terms of correlation, actually, before we do that, before we look at other markets like Ethereum, Total 3 and all this and Total 2, let's take a quick look at the Kalmans over on Gravitas. Okay, here we are. And you can see that the Kalmans are approaching each other. Clearly, that quick slide brings them back together. We haven't crossed over yet. And I think the best scenario would be, of course, here that we continue higher. Scenario 8 I showed you. That we recover here. Maybe do a little quick retest, but before they cross and then signals to go short. I wouldn't want to see that because I have this inkling that we're going to get a little shakeout, right? If we continue lower, the C scenario that I spoke about, that we cross over here and then we go short and then we snap back and then we have to go long again. And yeah, I don't think we would lose much in the process, but also we would cut a little bit of our profits out here, which is unfortunate. Now, for the record, with Gravitas, we never expect to be able to grab the entire run of let's say, a bull market, entire bull market, or even one particular leg of a bull market, or bear market for that matter. So either way, each direction. We're always going to see a pullback, and at which point there's a crossover in the Kalmans, and boom, we're out, right? They do work a little bit like moving averages, but as I explained many, many times before, they're much more resilient than moving averages would be, because a moving average, no matter, unless you use something really, really long here, would have crossed over already. So it has kept us in the game for now, which I think I like. Well, I'm pretty sure I like, because so far Gravitas has really treated us extremely well, on the way up, on the way down as well last year, and even while it was trending sideways. So it's just an observation. Of course, I would prefer a scenario where we snap back right away, continue our merry way higher, and then at some point grab profits and be done. But look, if we get shaken out here, if we drop into a short position, well, okay, well, that's fine. I'm fine with that as well. We made a lot of money on the way up already. I'm very happy with that, and so no complaints, okay? Because we've been long since basically down here. Right? I mean, it's been really awesome, and we were long before, so no complaints. All right, so let's jump back to TradingView, and then I'll show you a few more charts, and we're done for today. Okay, so let's look at Ethereum first and see how Ethereum measures up against Bitcoin. And here we saw quite a bit of a slide over the last few days, and that's quite deep. I do like it in that it has descended into support here. Clearly we have support here, right? Up there, right? And up there. So you can see here that there is support, and there's still room to drop a little bit lower, which is what concerns me a little bit. It might retest it deeper, just to scare the children a little bit more, and then it might snap back. We'll see. It looks generally all of a sudden weaker. Before it was strange, because before it was actually stronger than Bitcoin, but now all of a sudden it seems to be weakening quite a bit. So Bitcoin is actually looking stronger right now. Now, let's take a look at, let me move myself, okay. All right, so let's take a look at total 2, right, which is everything except Bitcoin. So it's looking pretty good. Again, we're at support, so I kind of like that. Technically sufficient for a correction, right? I mean, for the record, if we drop through this here, then I'll probably be a little bit worried, because then we might correct all the way down here. So we'll see what happens. But so far it seems to be holding, which is good. Total 3, which is everything but Bitcoin and Ethereum. And, looks pretty decent. Same thing, similar situation. Of course, the formation is slightly different. There's a little bit more volatility. We're talking about a lot more coins here. Well, actually, no, we're talking in comparison with Total 2 and Total, of course, we're talking about fewer coins because we're leaving out Ethereum and Bitcoin. So it's basically just altcoins. And they're always more volatile. You can see, right, how volatile this is in comparison, even with Total 2. So, support is here. Theoretically, we dipped into it, looking pretty good. I looked at the performance of our altcoin scanner from the last week, and it actually looks pretty good. That was barely a scratch. Let me see if I can show you this real quick. So I'm talking about this right here. So this is just altcoin performance, top 5 altcoins that we're not actively trading them right now yet. But theoretically, we would be in altcoin season at this point, which is really mind-boggling if you think about it. It's quite early in the game, but this actually has been treating us pretty well. Last week's correction was quite deep, and the top 5 altcoins lost a little bit, but in comparison, very little. So kind of interesting. I was really surprised when I saw this. So just a side note, yeah, you probably cannot see the dates down here, but this goes all the way from 2021 all the way through here. So you can see during the bear market, it really kept us out of trouble. So I'm liking this. Anyway, let's go back and wrap up. Okay, so in conclusion, it's looking positive, but it's got to get a move on. That's basically the bottom line here. It's got to get a move on. It's got to heave its carcass back above 42,000 minimum. And I'd like to see 43,000 post-haste. So we'll see if it happens. If we linger around too much down here, the mojo is going to just drop out of it, and we'll probably drop deeper for a deeper correction. And if we don't hold this is probably going to get us down to like 36,000 or so. 37,000 minimum, 36,000. So, and yeah, there would be the probability that we're crossing over in the Kalmans on Gravitas, which means we would probably go short, which I would take because the system tells me to, even though I anticipate we would snap back. But, well, you don't want to overthink it. Just trade the system and don't start mocking with it. You have to be disciplined this way. All right, that's all I got. Thanks for joining again, and see you next time. Cheers.